Okay, it's a quiet morning. Good morning. You're with us here on Trading Hour. It's 20 points, 21 points on the Nifty. So pretty flat. Small cap index is up about 0.65%. Mid cap index is up about 0.3%. So it's not a bad looking screen at all. And I think it's good to note that, in terms of the border skirmish and the tensions, which remain by far the biggest story to track, we've seen a bit of quiet on that particular front as well. So, in that sense, it's good news. Globally as well, things have not been bad. I mean, overnight equity markets did not very well, but I think one thing which did sort of happen was oil. Oil slumped 3% the day before yesterday, and overnight they jumped up 2.5%. And this is OPEC pushing back on Trump's insistence that prices are too high. So basically, WTI is back at about $57 a barrel. Brent is at about 66. So that's basically what we have at this point in time. No big movers, even in terms, no large volume-based movers in terms of individual stocks to really talk about. But there are a few which we will discuss with news flow, etc. in just a bit. Ekta, morning.
Morning, Prashant. Yes, absolutely. Advanced decline ratio, which is positive at this point in time. We do have some news which is coming in on Lupin, so maybe we can just pull that stock up. They've in fact launched a particular drug which is basically used for chronic angina. So they've launched ranitidine extended release tablets, and this is with exclusivity. So that means for the next 3 months, Lupin is going to be the only company besides the patented innovator of this drug, which will be selling this drug in the US markets. Why is it important? Is because it's $945 million in terms of a market size for this particular drug. Lupin could probably make up to around $50 to $60 million in the next 3 months of this particular exclusivity that they have. And there is a possibility that they could even make more because there would not be an authorized generic launch. As of now, there is no authorized generic launch, which means that generally the innovator launches a drug or launches the drug by another company which they have approved should be in the market. So that is actually important news coming in for Lupin. Maybe a large part of it is currently factored in. That's why you're not seeing the stock move up too much. But we have Sudarshan Sukhani joining in to discuss the technicals of the market. Then Sudarshan, hi, over to you. Morning. What are you recommending, both Nifty as well as stocks today?
Yeah, good morning. Well, the Nifty doesn't have a direction, it's choppy, but for today the suggestion was that on a dip towards 10,820 you can buy the index for a trade today, for an intraday trade. That view continues. It's almost a little higher than 820 where our buying was suggested. It is possible to buy the Nifty today for a day trade, for an intraday trade. Keep your stops at 10,800 and then let the FNO expiry volatility come in and see where it goes. So that's a trade only for today. I don't have a larger direction on the Nifty as of now. Stocks are giving a sense of some buzz around them, mid-cap stocks especially. So Sun Pharma is a buying opportunity. Sun Pharma has been outperforming for the 3 days now. It's been having very decent rallies, and that should continue. The second buy is Jubilant Foods, again another outperformer. So we are really focusing on stocks that are already in the play, expecting momentum to continue in their favor. And finally, Reliance, that big boy. Reliance has finally gives us a sense that it's bottoming out for the short term. So 2 mid caps, 1 large cap, all for buying, and a Nifty which is only an intraday buy.
Okay, we've got some questions coming in, Sudarshan. So Sundar Raj has 200 shares of Apollo Tyres. His cost is almost 240 rupees, and he basically wants to know what should he do with these shares. Should he sell, hold? What's your sense?
Well, he should hold because it's not a very expensive price he's paid for it. And tire companies are going through a difficult time. Charts are suggesting and reflecting that, but they will come back. So hold for 1 year, and I think you should get better prices than your cost.
Okay. All right, Sudarshan, we're going to let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us all of that perspective on the technicals. But the big story that we've been tracking all the way through this week is that the tensions continue between India and Pakistan. IAF Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman has been captured by the Pakistani forces after fighter jets on both nations engaged in an air battle yesterday, last morning, after China and Russia asked both sides to restrain this morning. The United States has also urged India and Pakistan to de-escalate tensions and avoid further military action. Parikshit Luthra is joining in with the latest details. Parikshit, over to you.
Well, India has been constantly drawing a distinction for the international community, telling them when India struck those targets in Pakistan, our attack was in self-defense and it was only aimed at a Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Pakistan, not against military installations or civilians. But what Pakistan did last morning at 10 a.m. was act of aggression against the state, was a commencement of hostilities. It went and attacked military installations, and therefore India had to react in that manner. India has asked the Pakistani government to immediately hand back Wing Commander Abhinandan, asked them to follow the Geneva Convention, treat him humanely, give him treatment befitting an officer, and make sure that he is returned immediately. Sources so far telling us that there is no formal channel of communication that has been opened up with Pakistan, no dialogue that has opened up on the current tensions that are taking place. But we can tell our viewers that National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has spoken to US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo over the issue. A lot of international attention to what's happening between India and Pakistan at this point. You've got Japan, you've got the United States, China, Russia, France, Iran, Sri Lanka and several other countries which have commented, urging both sides to exercise restraint and use dialogue to stabilize the present conditions. No word from the Prime Minister's office or the Ministry of External Affairs on Imran Khan's offer of dialogue. Remember, yesterday he tried to say that the war is not in the best interest of either of the two countries, and if war breaks out, neither will Prime Minister Narendra Modi nor Imran Khan would be able to control it. So no word coming in just yet, but so far no hostilities at the border. Those ceasefire violations, intermittent firing continues, but beyond that, we've not heard of any sort of aggression from either side till now.
Parikshit, thanks for that. Just one question briefly. Any sort of update on what will be the way forward for the Indian pilot in Pakistani custody? I mean, are there talks on that at a separate level? What happens from here?
That's right. That's an important question because there is a lot of interest about what's going to happen to Wing Commander Abhinandan. We're all praying for his immediate release. And we also have to take a cue from what happened to one of our pilots way back during the Kargil war, who was taken as a prisoner of war, and later Nawaz Sharif wanted to carry out a grand gesture by releasing him. He was released within a certain period of time. There was pressure internationally as well. You had a High Commissioner there, you had the Air Chief who had put pressure. So those dialogues will of course be opened up in the next few days. But the Geneva Convention entails that Wing Commander Abhinandan be treated humanely at all times. There should not be any threat to his life or health. A distinction has to be made between tension between countries. This is not a relationship of individuals, and he should be handed back at the end of hostilities. This is what the Geneva Convention says. India has been putting pressure. The démarche was issued to the Pakistani High Commissioner here in New Delhi at the Ministry of External Affairs. The same has been sent by hand to the Pakistani Foreign Office, I believe. That happened earlier today or last evening. So there will be pressure in the next couple of hours, and we can also expect some sort of dialogue between India at the level of either the Foreign Secretary or our diplomats in Pakistan to negotiate his release over the next couple of days. The government has been extremely silent on this because this is a very, very tricky issue. It's a tricky diplomatic issue. It's getting a lot of international attention, and India would like to hold its cards very close to its chest. Even now, several high-level meetings taking place. The last high-level meeting was at the Prime Minister's office last evening. You had the three service chiefs. No comments yet from the Prime Minister's office. They're working out their next possible move. But thankfully, we're not seeing any sort of escalation at this juncture.
Okay, all right, Parikshit. We're going to keep coming back with to you for these incremental updates. Thanks very much for that. We need to take a break now with the news that the Nifty is just about high by around 20 odd points. We have the Bank Nifty as well as the mid-cap index up around 0.3%.